In southern Russia, there's a wilderness that stretches over 4,000 kilometers. The steppe is wind-ravaged and exposed, but not lifeless. One of the Earth's most unsettled animals ceaselessly journeys back and forth across this vast grassland. The Saiga antelope is a peculiar creature from a strange land, a place where it's tough for all who live there. Since the breakup of the USSR, economies have collapsed, leaving hundreds of thousands without jobs. In Kazakhstan, remote rural communities have been especially hard hit. With no work, no welfare, and little to eat, the locals have been forced to turn to the steppe and the saiga to provide a source of income and food. Midwinter on the steppe in the heart of Kazakhstan. Once, over 1 million saiga meandered across this lonely landscape. Today, there may be only a third left. When the weather turns cold, the herds move south to avoid heavy snow. As they head for better grazing, they steer onto a collision course with man. Kamkabek lives a long way from the nearest town. He's one of very few left trying to raise livestock on the steppe. He's helped by Valentine, a drifter from St. Petersburg. Domestic animals once competed with the saiga for food. Now their numbers are drastically reduced, so they have little effect on the wild herds. Yesterday, Valentine spotted 2 wolves. Last year, they ate 6 of Kamkabek's calves and 3 sheep, animals he can't afford to lose. Wolves are a serious menace, but they don't compare with desperate trespassers and thieves. One helpless herder recently lost 1,000 sheep. Kamkabek is young and enthusiastic, but hard work may not be enough. Kamkabek will probably soon be forced to move closer to a city and its markets. A year ago, our life was better. The government helped with equipment and we had no problems. Now everyone must buy his own petrol and do everything himself. People living in towns are in many ways worse off than those in the countryside. Children manage to make the most out of any situation. With imagination, there's a use for most bits of scrap. In the town of Ulaanbaatar in central Kazakhstan, 2/3 of the population have left in the last few years. There was a rich state farm, but it's empty now, like the hospital. This was going to be a factory and provide plenty of jobs. Volodya Kapkov had a good job at the weather station. Today, no one can afford to monitor the climate. Volodya works hard, but his efforts won't earn him a wage. He's collecting ice from the river for drinking water. The town's water system broke down a long time ago.
И вот остались мы одни с бабкой. Вот.
He and his 6 brothers were born in Ulaanbaatar. He raised a family here. Under the communists, they all had a job.
Вот сюда. А сейчас после перестройки вот это все разрушилось, развалилось.
Now, after perestroika, everything is ruined. This year, the state farm died. They gave away the last 3,000 sheep to employees who'd not received a salary for the past 5 years. Everyone is running away from this place. There is one way of obtaining hard cash: collecting old rockets. It's illegal, but there's no one to stop the activity. In the past, the steppe was used as a Soviet testing ground. Rockets crashed here by the thousand. Military and scientific rockets, as well as those from the space program. Villagers scavenged them, and piles of them have been dragged to Ulaanbaatar. Most of these have already been ripped apart.
Здесь уже все сломанное.
The rockets contain precious metals: titanium, platinum, and silver. The gold melted from these circuit boards is worth about £3. Most of it is smuggled to China. Many of the villages near Ulaanbaatar look similar to those in Bosnia, but these houses haven't been ripped apart by war. As people leave for the cities, the children of the few families that stay are sent to tear down the deserted homes. Anything that will burn is collected as fuel for the family stove. Soon there will be no store, no school, no hospital, no amenities. In fact, no reason for anyone to stay. A dying economy in Kazakhstan is leaving a legacy of ghost towns and lost communities. Fishing is no longer a hobby. Most of these men are unemployed and spend hours on the river. They have to, in order to provide food for their families. Genya is 17. His sister, brother, and mother rely on him to provide food. They don't know how much longer they can survive here. Thousands are in the same predicament. Many will be forced to leave, but will the mass exodus of the human population at least benefit the herds out on the steppe? Saiga calves are born in late spring, when the harsh climate of the exposed grasslands relents for a few short weeks. The herds travel north to their traditional breeding grounds. Beneath the old, dry grass, tender new shoots are sprouting. Tens of thousands of these strangely frenetic antelopes congregate here. Mothers and babies learn to recognize each other's calls so that they can always find each other. Scent also plays an important role. Females use their offspring's distinctive smell to locate them. Many of the new mothers are only a year old themselves. Young first-time mothers only have one calf, but older females regularly produce twins. Even when the herds are depleted, saiga breed so young and prolifically that they have the ability to replenish their numbers, given time and a chance. Saiga are always on the move. They've been on the run from people for centuries, but now the situation has got totally out of control. The herds are in serious trouble, for these are desperate men. These men are poaching to keep their families from starving. Recently, poachers have been killing tens of thousands of saiga every year. These men are after bucks for their horns, which fetch about £7 a pair. Carcasses are left to rot on the steppe. The poachers know this is wasteful, but can't carry them on their bikes. Poaching is becoming less and less profitable because the herds are dwindling, and with no authorities, hunting has become a free-for-all. In one day, 2 men on a motorcycle can kill up to 50 to 60 saiga. The horns are exported by the tons. Before, our hunts lasted only 1 or 2 days. Now we need to go for a week. Nearer the villages, 4-wheel drive vehicles are used to take the meat home. But there are very few saiga, so the men shoot anything within range. This is a pregnant female due to give birth this week. The poachers know indiscriminate killing is self-defeating, and soon there won't be enough saiga to make the hunt worthwhile. But they need meat to feed their families now. Next year, they don't know how they'll survive. The horns go east to China, where they'll be used to prepare traditional medicines. This trade, once regulated by government legislation, is now completely out of control. Researchers on an expedition made up of Kazakh and British scientists are studying the diseases and parasites of saiga. Dr. Eric Morgan performed an autopsy on this animal after the expedition was forced to put it down.
Right, this is a saiga that our guys saw when they were out this morning. Poachers have obviously shot it. Either they were aiming for the male or they aimed for this one and missed. They shot through the leg is fractured, and it's fractured several days old. So the saiga's been wandering around with a broken leg. The calf inside that was ready to be born in the next few days is, his mother is ill, his mother eventually is dead, the calf will just die inside it. And even though I'm here as a scientist and obviously meant to be dispassionate about these things, that really disgusts me that they've shot a pregnant animal, killed a mother, and the calf is just left to die inside her.
Carcasses left out on the plains benefit a summer visitor. In April, the steppe eagle arrives from Africa to breed. The eagles are capable of taking newborn calves, but they'll scavenge rather than hunt saiga, given the opportunity. They're one of the few eagles to nest on the ground, but then there are no trees or cliffs on this part of the steppe. Saiga are not the eagle's main prey. They concentrate on catching susliks, a type of ground squirrel, but they also feed their young on hatchlings and snakes. Where they once nested among herds 1 million strong, now there's probably not even 100,000 in this region. The situation is serious, but this isn't the first time that saiga numbers have crashed. In the 1920s, saiga were ruthlessly overhunted until only about 1,000 animals remained. It was at this point that the Russian government made a last-ditch attempt to save this unique animal. With planned protection, the population gradually recovered, reaching over 1 million by the 1970s. The Saiga project was so successful that the Russians also launched a program to protect another steppe animal, the kulan. The kulan is an Asiatic wild ass. Early this century, its existence nearly came to an abrupt end. It was hunted across the steppe in Kazakhstan to extinction. But in the 1950s, a program successfully reintroduced kulan from Turkmenistan. There are now 450 in a national park. The Russian projects prove that conservation works, but only where there's a management plan and adequate funding. As summer turns to autumn, the saiga bucks prepare for the rut. Young males don't become sexually mature until they're at least 1.5 years, contrasting sharply with the females, who can mate as early as 7 months old. Adult males are becoming a rarity because they're being slaughtered relentlessly for their horns. Breeding males are vital if the population is to have any chance of a future. Yusupov works as a hunting inspector. It's frustrating work because of the number of poachers and the fact that the animals are now pursued all year round.
Для того, чтобы ее охранять,
If the government doesn't decide how to address this problem, then it'll be very difficult to protect Saiga. We need better equipment, petrol, diesel, radios, and provisions. We need everything, and we need the help of the government. Murat Jusupov is here to officiate a legal hunt. Saiga are not the quarry. The tracks are fresh, wolf tracks. The chase is on. The hunters follow in an old army truck, sometimes for hours, hoping to wear their victim down. Sergei considers himself very lucky to have work as a winter hunting guide. When the wolf is exhausted, it will lie down. It's an easy target. The first shot is often from the truck. Then the European hunter, who's paid $1,000, finishes it off. Trophy hunters will pay large sums because this is the only place in the world where a foreigner is guaranteed to kill a wolf. The wolf population has skyrocketed since the government stopped paying a bounty. For Sergei, the wolf hunt helps to feed his family. He makes about £30 a day with a bonus for every kill.
Да, по крайней мере, в данное время самый лучший.
At this time, this is the best business because there is no other work.
Потому что у людей работы нету. Потому самый лучший.
Genya Ishkov prepares the skins so the foreigners can take them home. The hunting season only lasts for 2 months and work is sporadic. About 10 people find part-time jobs. This isn't enough to feed a village with 250 families. Natasha and her 2 friends are out of meat and out of work. They worked together for years on the state farm. They're still waiting for someone to give them new jobs. Galia thinks only of her children.
We wait for their future. Our lives have already passed. Maybe something will happen, I hope. Maybe someone will pay attention to us and give us work, especially pay attention to our children and see that there are people here who can work and achieve something. We have good men and our children help us, and we women will hope and wait. It's our fate.
But who will help them? While the women wait, the economic situation worsens. Hospitals, schools and shops close. Left with nothing and with no one to stop them, it's not surprising that people venture onto the steppe to plunder the only thing left of value around them. But for how much longer can the killing fields of Kazakhstan withstand the onslaught?